Betrayed by my best friend when he stole my dream job right from under me. After years of hard work, I was left with nothing but regret and a broken trust. I had posted a few times before on Reddit about my fiancé and me, about my not wanting kids, our engagement, the love we have for each other. For the most part, my posts have had happy endings, but this one just isn't a particularly happy one. Soon after my engagement, my best friend since elementary school and his wife passed away in a car accident, leaving behind their 11-year-old daughter, Amy. Amy is my goddaughter, but we refer to each other as niece and Tia. I've been there for her throughout her whole life, and she has always been one of my favorite people and still is. It's been a really hard several months since the accident, and everyone is having a tough time. I've spent more of my life with my best friend in it than without him. Our parents are best friends, due to us being friends first. I refer to his mom as Mama, his last name, and his dad as Papa, his last name. And he did the same with my parents. My siblings were his siblings. He was an only child. We went to events and concerts together a lot. So multiple times since he passed, I've subconsciously bought him a ticket, forgetting that he wouldn't be able to use it. I introduced him to his wife in high school. We were the only two openly nerdy cheerleaders at our school. They got pregnant young, and I was there to help. I even went so far as to stop eating food she couldn't eat because I could tell being pregnant was not fun for her. I was at the hospital because she was scared and asked me to be close by. I was the first non-blood family member to see Amy. I say all this because he and his family are indeed my family. So, their passing was a huge hit for everyone, especially for Amy. The month the accident happened, Amy went to stay with her grandparents. Luckily, we all live in the same big city, so the farthest any of the family is from one another is an hour at most, and that's mainly due to traffic. The issue, though, is that her grandparents are much older, in their 70s, compared to my parents in their 50s. While they do love her very much, they're already at the point where they themselves need help. Plus, they had just lost their only son and daughter-in-law. Amy's mom's parents are out of state, and they also didn't believe that moving her away from everyone she knows was the right thing. Her grandparents ultimately felt that Amy staying with them wasn't the best option for her, and they shared this with my parents, who then mentioned it to me. After discussing it with my fiancé and in therapy, which included me, my fiancé, and both our therapists, we came to the conclusion that we would be happy to take her in. We are financially capable, had the space, and we love her so much. Before the accident, she was realistically at our house at least 3 times a week. She is the reason I even have an art room, as it was an activity we always did together. Even at 11, she's a fantastic artist. When we approached her grandparents, they were completely on board with the idea. I do think that part of them had hoped we would take her in without them having to ask us directly, hence their comment to my parents. However, when we broached the idea to Amy, she was hesitant. It turns out that she's aware I never wanted kids and is afraid that I will hate her for having to raise her. It 100% broke my heart that she felt that way, and I tried everything to convince her that she was wrong. In the end, I told her the truth. I will never be able to replace her mom or dad, and I have no plans to. Her parents made me her godmother because they knew I would love and care for Amy the way they did. I could never hate her. My fiancé even pointed out that I was the one who suggested fostering her. But I also had to stress that this is a new situation for all of us. We are all grieving together, and we are all entering this new living arrangement together. There will be mistakes, but there will also be a lot of love. We also put her in therapy, which she was very hesitant about, but after learning that my fiancé and I are both regularly in therapy, she felt much more comfortable. My fiancé has been great through all of this and has been my absolute rock. He was also very close to my best friend. My best friend was going to be his groomsman and was the second person my fiancé asked after asking his brother to be the best man. My best friend was the type of person who would see something and say, "This looks like something so, and so would like, so I'm going to buy it for them." Some days, I catch my fiancé staring at one of those mini gifts for a long time. Or he'll say something like, "I hope they both knew how much I love them." We hold each other tighter now when we hug and kiss longer than before. When I first asked about Amy living with us, my fiancé was shocked and unsure how he felt since everything was happening so quickly, the engagement, the accident, and now the possibility of Amy moving in. So, I didn't bring it up again until he did a week later, saying I thought about it, and I think it would be good for all of us, but let's get our therapist together to make sure we aren't jumping the fence just because we love her. Amy moved in right after Thanksgiving. All the families came together for the holidays with her to remind her that she is never alone. She has her mom's family out of state, but they call often, her dad's family, my fiancé's family, also out of the country, except for his brother and his wife, and let's not forget all our friends and their families. There was a lot of crying, but also a lot of laughing. Her living with us is a huge adjustment, but it's nothing we can't handle. She has always been a sweet, bubbly, and loud girl, but since the accident, she has understandably become more withdrawn and quiet. However, I'm starting to see glimpses of her old self returning, albeit slowly. We had to switch her therapist a few times, but the current one is definitely helping a lot, and Amy really likes her. Her grades slipped a bit, but my fiancé has made it a point to do homework with her every day, which made her cry the first few times he did it. He asked her if she wanted him to stop, but it turns out it just reminded her of her dad, so it meant a lot to her that her Tio was so willing to help too. I was expecting some rebellion, but that hasn't happened. Yet LOL. Actually, she has been doing the absolute most. She would clean up after us before we had a chance to do it ourselves, or try to do things for us that seemed a little out of character. After some prodding, it turns out she was afraid we would get rid of her if she upset us or did something wrong. We have stressed that the thought of getting rid of her has never even crossed our minds. We are here for her, and unless she wants nothing to do with us, we will continue to be here for her through the good and the bad. But let me tell you, I cried so much that night, feeling terrible that she felt that way. I want her to know that our love is unconditional, and it always has been. We are also in the process of setting up a trust for her. Her parents left behind some money, and there is also money coming in from their insurance policies, all of which will go into the trust. I will be contributing to the trust as well, and my fiancé has offered to help too, even though I stress that he doesn't need to. Neither my fiancé nor I will touch this trust. When she turns 18, she will have access to the money for college if she decides to go, with a set amount available every month to live on. If she decides not to go to college, she will still have access to a set monthly amount. Side note, we would prefer she go to college and will encourage it, but her dad didn't go to college and did well as an artist, and we see that she has his talents, so we just want to be supportive of any decision she makes. When she turns 21, she will have full access to the trust to use as she wishes, but we will do our best to ensure she is responsible with it when the time comes. At the end of the day, she will be an adult, and we have to trust that she will be responsible when she has access to the money. I also want to mention that we didn't come to this decision on our own. We consulted with all 4 sets of grandparents, and we all agreed that this was the best approach, with the help of a lawyer. When Amy is a little older, we will discuss this with her, but for now, she's still so young and dealing with a lot. Some nights, I sleep with her in bed, with my fiancé sleeping on the floor by the bed because she cries herself to sleep and feels so alone. I don't know if that feeling will go away anytime soon. I think about how I'm in my 30s, and I still can't imagine not having my parents, so I really have no idea what she's feeling. The best I can hope for is that I can help ease her pain, even just a little bit. Amy's mom was going to be my bridesmaid, and I was planning to have Amy as the flower girl, but now I'm thinking of asking Amy if she would prefer to be my bridesmaid. Amy looks so much like both her parents, and I see so much of their personalities in her. A part of me feels like having her up there with me will make me feel like her parents are there with me too. I never once imagined getting married without either of them by my side. All planning stopped the moment of the accident for that reason, and even now, typing this has me in tears because they won't actually be there. But I also realize that's a lot of pressure to put on Amy, so I don't want to tell her all of that. I do want to give her the option to be my bridesmaid if she wants, and if she doesn't want to, that's completely okay because she'll still be a part of my wedding. I'm not even going to bring this up for a while because I'm still not in the headspace to plan the wedding right now. There's no real reason why I'm posting this. I tried a couple of times to write out what happened, but each time I either broke down or ended up deleting it. I think I just want to vent or feel better, maybe to get some validation that we're doing the right thing and not messing Amy up. One step at a time, I guess. Update 5 months later. It's been a while, and people keep reaching out to check in, which I sincerely appreciate, so an update might be warranted. It won't be exciting at all, LOL. just a reflection of where we all are right now. Side note, I'm not sure if I mentioned my fiancé's name in previous posts, but I'll refer to him as David moving forward. My best friend's name will be Leo. First, I want to thank this community for the kind words of encouragement and concern for Amy. It's heartwarming, to say the very least, to receive such support from strangers. There were so many comments that I got very overwhelmed and stopped responding, but I read every single one. And even if I didn't reply, I truly appreciate every single one of you. I just get really shy after a certain point, even though this is all anonymous, lol. Second, a lot of people were really focused on the trust. I commented on my previous post about it, so I'll add it here. Trust me, we're aware that 21 is still quite young mentally. Haha. We consulted with all the grandparents regarding the trust, and most of them initially wanted to give her a lump sum at 18. The compromise was that the lump sum would be given at 21, with her receiving a sort of allowance from 18 to 21. We also plan to set her up with our lawyer and financial advisor when she turns 18, and of course, my fiancé and I will always do our best to guide her. But she will be an adult at that point, so all we can do is give her the tools to help make the best decisions for herself when the time comes. We can always adjust the terms of the trust if necessary, but that's something we'll decide as a family. Right now, we're happy with where we landed. Now on to the update. David is my husband now. One night, we were talking and realized we didn't feel comfortable having the wedding this year, but we also didn't want to wait to be married. Life is short. So we went to the courthouse with Amy and made it official. We'll have the wedding next year to make it official. LOL. We're all still in therapy, both individual and family, and we've joined a support group for children who have lost parents, which Amy seems to be doing really well in. Amy is now 12. It was her first birthday without her parents, so I wish I could say it was an extremely happy occasion. This year has been full of firsts without them, and we'll continue to face many more. But she insists that despite crying a lot that day, understandably, she couldn't have planned the date better herself. So a bittersweet success. Special mention, Amy has a best friend of 5 or 6 years, Monica, whom I've known since she was 7. Monica is lovely. She's a bit sarcastic, which I find hilarious, and she is such a kind soul. According to Amy, she tried to distance herself from Monica because she felt like she was too sad to be around and didn't want to be a burden. But Monica took the bus over to our house and basically told Amy to knock it off, saying that Monica, decides when Amy is too much, which will apparently never happen because Amy is her favorite person. I've always been Team Monica, but that day solidified the fact that I would ride at dawn for her. We ended up getting Amy 2 rabbits. Why rabbits, you ask? Well, her parents' nickname for her was Bunny, and since we were already planning on getting some kind of animal companion, we thought bunnies would be perfect. Plus, our state has an overwhelming number of rabbits, and most get euthanized due to overpopulation, so they need all the love they can get. Why, too, you ask? Because bunnies are social creatures and are happiest when raised with another rabbit. Amy is absolutely obsessed with Pink and Chalk, haha. After showing her the ropes and letting her do her own research, she has completely taken over all their care, despite us offering to help several times. She even has a space in the fridge labeled buns for the fresh greens she cuts up every morning to feed them. She decorated an area in her room for them since they'll sleep there at night, but they're allowed to roam around the house during the day, after we spend a full day bunny-proofing. Amy's been very happy with the rabbits. Payne even sleeps on the bed with her now, while Chalk only sometimes joins. This has also meant that we no longer sleep in her room with her, and only a handful of times has she crawled in a bed with us, like on Mother's Day and Father's Day. We're leaving for a trip to Europe and Asia next week. David and I love to travel, but I actually start to get irritable when I haven't traveled for a while. David jokes that I always need my fix, lol. It's a 3-week trip, starting in Poland to spend time with David's family for a week, and then heading to Asia from there. The plan was for Amy to be with us for the full 3 weeks, but she really pushed back, and we were confused about it. She only wants to go for the first week in Poland to meet David's family. Side note, his family adores her and has even planned a "You're Stuck With Us Forever" party for her. Whenever we asked about the rest of the trip, she insisted she didn't want to go and that we should go without her. We understand that if she doesn't want to do something, we shouldn't force her. But understanding the reason was tough for me. Does she not like traveling? No, she enjoys it. Is she afraid of flying? No, she likes flying and thinks it's cool to see new places. Is it too much time away from home? No, she's fine with long trips. So, why doesn't she want to go? She just doesn't. In family therapy, the trip came up, and finally, the reason for Amy not wanting to join us on the rest of the trip came to light. She feels like David and I are prioritizing her too much and taking her feelings into account more than we should. She's worried that we're not prioritizing our relationship, or even our other friends and family. She feels like she's preventing us from doing things because we keep putting her first. I want to make this very clear. While David and I do prioritize Amy more and absolutely take her feelings into account when we plan things, we still very much prioritize each other. We have a date night every week, and if we ever have to cancel, we make up for it. Our date nights did stop for a few months after Amy moved in with us, but that was just because we needed time to adjust. Now, she spends a night at Monica's every week, and that's usually when we have our date night. We do the same for Monica's mom every week. We also go to the gym together every morning. I'm not a morning person, but I am for David, and we communicate throughout the day. She made a very good point about our friends and other family. It's been hard to balance having a child in the mix, and we have been a bit neglectful. While our closest friends and family usually just come over to our house and aren't shy about being themselves around Amy, there have been events we've missed because we prioritized her. I'm not saying we made the wrong choice, but she highlighted that we need to start taking care of our other relationships now that she feels safer with us. Amy really is the greatest kid. Even though it hasn't been a full year since her parents passed, she has changed so much. I wish she didn't have to grow up as fast as she did, and I hope we can preserve some of her childhood. But I know her parents would be so proud of her. I'm so damn proud of her. We tell her all the time, but I don't think she fully grasps just how proud we all are of her. Anyways, we still stress that we would love to have her on the trip with us, but she insisted that we should have that time for ourselves. So, we decided to leave the trip as is. My parents will come with us for that first week in Poland, and then they'll fly back home with Amy, who will be floating between all the grandparents while David and I continue our travels. We'll video call her every day to check in. We're already making more of an effort with her friends and family. Amy is also spending more nights with her many grandparents, which she's been loving because, as she puts it, I'm really lucky that I have 4 nanas and 4 papas. David is absolutely nailing it in the parent role. He's been more hands-on with Amy's schooling, handling teacher and school communications, as well as pickups, I do drop-offs. He has all the contact information and has made better connections with the other parents of kids in her class, plus all her friends' parents. He's been joking about joining the school's version of a PDA, but I don't think he's actually joking, lol. He's definitely the extrovert of the two of us, so it's not surprising. I could probably go on for pages and pages about David just being the absolute best, but I already feel like this update is super long, I don't know how I would have managed any of this without his love and support. While neither of us is perfect, we're perfect for each other. It's honestly crazy to me that I can still love him more and more each day. Like, how is it even physically possible to love someone this much? Is this even healthy? I digress, lol. I think I'm doing okay. Just like Amy is dealing with a lot of firsts without her parents, so am I. At first, I didn't think it was fair for me to grieve since Amy's situation is on a whole other level than my own. But my therapist had to remind me not to compare my grief with hers because it's just different. I sometimes imagine what my conversation with Leo would have been like if I told him I'm adopting this 11 to 12-year-old girl because her parents were my closest friends. He always understood why I didn't want kids and was so supportive of it, even when others disregarded my feelings. I wonder if he would have talked me out of it or if he would have encouraged me to go for it. He would have 100% been part of the village supporting me, whether he agreed with my decision or not. I just wish I knew what his thoughts would be about this whole thing. Sigh. I miss them both so damn much. But I'm also really lucky to have David and Amy. I don't know who said it, but they said it best. If you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain.